It was a rescue that's nothing short of a miracle. Remember this.
Linda Morelli is landing the Sheriff's Department helo. They have cleared a path for her to land. His electrocardiogram was good. No arrhythmias. Blood pressure's been holding up. He told me that it was a freezing night. He doesn't know how he survived. He doesn't know how he made it. But he sure didn't want to spend another night here. Difficult situation coming straight up.
And he didn't. After Nathan Carricker's plane crashed into a California mountainside, his fellow pilot covered him with a tarp to keep him warm, and then hiked 5 miles, walked 7 hours through treacherous pathways to get help. And 1 day later, first responders finally reached him in a risky and daring rescue because he was banged up. That happened 22 years ago. That was December 14th, 1994. And now the victims and first responders are reuniting for the first time exclusively for us on Fox and Friends. Meet pilots Nathan Carricker. He had the broken back and was the pilot. Jim Bixby was the co-pilot and went for help. Linda Morelli and John Irish came for help. And then there's Ron Cohen, who's the paramedic. Together, they made it happen, and everyone's okay to talk about it. Nathan, first off, what was happening that day to set up the crash?
Really, it was just Jim and I trying to have a little bit of fun. He and I were roommates. We were pilots at the same airline at the time, and he just wanted to go out and have a little fun with me and my dad's airplane. My dad had brought the airplane out for us to fly for the winter. So it was very, very lackadaisical and very impromptu to start. And
then you crash. What was indicative of the crash? It was into a valley, correct?
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing to happen when you take a Midwestern pilot with no mountain flying experience and put him in a mountainous situation with no training. And a few mistakes got made, and before we knew it, we were out there and really had no idea what was going to happen after that because we were in such a remote area. I had no idea how anyone was ever going to find us.
Wow, so Nathan, you're out. You have a broken back. It's time for Jim to go get help. Right, Jim?
That's correct.
What did you do?
Well, after everything settled down, I had to get him out of the airplane and secure the airplane so that there was no risk of a fire, and then dragged him as far away from the airplane as I could. But he was in so much pain that I didn't want to drag him too far. And then I covered him up with a tarp that was in the cargo compartment, and I started walking, just started hiking downhill.
And then to do that, you finally found a small town. Is it true, Jim, it took you 7 hours? And when you got to that town, what did you do?
Yeah, it was a 7-hour hike in the dark. The sun was setting just as we hit the ground. And so it was in the dark with a full moon, luckily. And just kind of followed the bottom of the canyon, serpentine, all the way to the bottom, and then finally found a road leading to a convenience store. And found a payphone and dialed 911 and then waited for the crews to show up.
And you don't even know if your buddy's still alive. And that's where you guys come in. Linda, when did you were you aware what you had on your hands here?
Well, John and I were called out early that morning. We were the on-duty shift, but we were called out. We had to launch at first daybreak because of the area that they had gone into. It would have been a bit treacherous to fly. So John and I launched and went to the general area we knew. And based on some of the information that Jim had given us, John was able to get us pretty close to the area, and then we began our search. Amazing,
because the sun's setting, you'd never been there before. You had to remember where you were to help your friend who is freezing and in a lot of pain. So, John, you get in the chopper, and you go ahead and you go for help. What did you find? How long did it take you to find Nathan? And then what did you find when you got there?
Well, yeah, initially, we go into that area. Martinez Canyon is a popular hiking area. Up there. Oh, sorry. It's a popular hiking area. So I knew the area fairly well, but it's a huge area to start searching in. But fortunately, Jim came up with this, the word stone house. There's an old stone house down at the bottom of Martinez Canyon. And we responded to the stone house and started going up the canyon and saw the airplane. Linda got me to a spot where she could let me off so I could walk up there, and I was hoping for the best but expecting the worst, and I hollered out for Nathan, and he answered, which was awesome.
Right.
So
Wow.
got up to him,
And then?
well, I got up to him and we started talking, and yeah, he was in a great deal of pain. It was uncomfortable for me to see how much pain he was in, and I really couldn't do anything for him other than basic first aid and to keep him immobile so he didn't do any more damage to his back.
And Ron, what about you?
And,
when you got to him, what did you see?
My helicopter was not in service that day. I work for the the state police, the highway patrol, and all of a sudden I arrived at work and Linda was landing her helicopter out in front of my office, and then I was very quickly told to change into an aviation uniform and get some equipment, and that we were going to go rescue a pilot that had crashed in the mountains. So I had never met Linda or John or flown in that particular aircraft until that morning.
So when you finally got involved, you realized your pilot had survived, didn't sleep at all through 7 hours of the cold with a broken back. Nathan, what do you think as you hear this whole thing done? After this moment in your life, how did your life change?
My life changed an awful lot for the worse very quickly, and then came back up and became something that I never would have even imagined it would be, because I didn't have any idea how supportive everyone around me was going to be. I had a long night out there. It was actually longer than 7 hours, and I was in just really total despair the entire time, because I was pretty certain my career was over. I was certain I'd be fired. I was certain I would be ostracized by my friends, and I was just in despair.
But you are a pilot, you're going good, and together this mighty five kept you alive. Nathan, all guys, thanks so much for sharing your story with us and our audience.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.